In one of the most fascinating corners of the world's land masses, we're in Istanbul, Turkey. You're being born from your mother's womb inside a cardboard box in a back alley. Shortly after, two more siblings follow. Right now, in this cold, dark, damp box, as if all the conditions weren't already perfect. On top of that, you're born blind, deaf, and unable to walk. Your mother lies down, and as siblings, your first task is to crawl toward her by following warmth and scent. The goal here is simply to find a nipple or two and feed that hungry little belly. You start nursing. Welcome to the world. I have to say, you've stepped into quite a tough environment. You, your mother, and your siblings all snuggle into your nest together to get some clean sleep. Everyone needs rest. A night passes. When you wake up, you notice you're cold. Cold is an understatement. You're literally shivering. There's only one explanation you can come up with. Your mother is gone because there's no milk smell and you can't feel her warmth. You immediately start crawling around trying to find your siblings. Getting warmth from them seems like a good idea while your mother's away. But what now? What will we eat? What will we drink? Just as you're wondering this, suddenly your mother walks back in through the doorway with a mouse in her mouth. To nurse, she needs energy. And to get energy, she needs to hunt. What else could the poor woman do? The moment she arrives, the first thing she does is nurse you all and start warming you up again. Feeling content once more, you all lie down and start resting. After about 10 days, your eyes slowly start to open and you're able to make out your surroundings clearly. For the first time, you get to meet your siblings and your mother. They seem like decent folks. After a little meet and greet and sniffing ceremony, it's time to eat again and you all start eating calmly. After you've filled your belly, your mother goes out hunting again. Since you already know she'll come back, there's no problem. After waiting a while, suddenly a shadow falls over the box. A huge creature standing on two legs grabs you, separates you from your siblings, picks you up in its arms, and starts showering you with affection. Thinking your mother abandoned you, it takes you and brings you home. Congratulations on your first owner. Now here's the problem. You never got to fully enjoy family happiness. You were weaned off your mother's milk before your development was complete. You never got big enough to wrestle with your siblings and test your limits, and you have zero idea about hunting. This fool tore you away from your family thinking he was doing a good deed. Now you live in this house, everything's fine, everything's great, no problems at all, except you're really hungry. You keep meowing non-stop. Because you keep meowing non-stop, the new guy figures something's up and starts giving you milk he bought from the market. But he has no idea this is a disaster. About 5 minutes later, your stomach starts churning and your head starts spinning. Noticing this, the fool jumps up, grabs you, and rushes you to the vet. Both of you catching your breath right there beside the doctor. That's where the guy realizes just how big a mistake he made. Look, you simply cannot adopt a stray kitten off the street like that, friends. That's the first thing. If you really want to adopt, if the kittens are walking steadily and playing games with each other, that means they're at least 4 weeks old. Keep an eye on the nest they're in for 2 weeks and observe day by day because, and I really mean it, friends, about 1.5 to 2 months after birth, the mother stops taking care of the kittens and reduces her attention. I know this because my cat Muzayen started smacking her kittens around 2 months after they were born. A kitten should not be taken right away. Let the babies get their fill of milk, maternal care, and sibling roughhousing first. Then you can adopt them. A mother cat will not abandon her 15-day-old kittens unless it's a truly exceptional situation. Don't be a fool and take kittens whose eyes have barely even opened yet. Of course, if you find the animal alone, sick or injured, then by all means, scoop it up immediately, friends. Don't buy, adopt. Second, you should never give any cat milk from the market. Even though cats seem to absolutely love it, the lactose sugar in regular milk causes severe stomach pain, fluid loss from diarrhea, and a weakened immune system in cats, because cats have very little of the lactase enzyme needed to break down that sugar. Kittens especially can't tolerate this, and in the worst cases, it can even be fatal. The vet immediately performs the necessary interventions and manages to keep you alive. Congratulations. Today is the first day of your second life. But what will you eat now? A needleless syringe or a bottle with kitten milk powder? Following the vet's instructions, the fool starts feeding you properly. Days pass as you try to adjust to your new home and new family, and now you're 2 months old. You and your owner are actually getting along great. You're getting all the attention, food, and water you need, and you're also now able to eat solid food completely. You're hopping and jumping around the place, showing off the necessary cuteness and getting wet food as a treat. The whole being a little fool business is already in full swing. You're also doing your business in the right place when needed. There's a litter box for that too. You've largely learned to take care of your needs in the litter box, though you still occasionally make things difficult for your owner from time to time. Well, that's just part of growing up. Generally speaking, you're living the good life. Free bread, free water, lounging around without a care. By the way, before we continue our adventure, I want to share a small note, friends. Due to surgery related stuff, I've fallen quite behind on videos, and because of that, the algorithm is punishing me pretty hard. It would be really great if you could smash that like button, drop a comment, and give me a bit of support. Now let's get back to our story. Days pass, and now you're 6 months old. During this period, you slowly start noticing a change happening in your body. Your movements are much more energetic and your strength is better than ever. You feel this constant urge to go outside, to run around. But this fool thinks the outside is dangerous and won't allow it. And honestly, he's not entirely wrong. You're constantly meowing at some ridiculous decibel level, you're constantly restless, and worst of all, you keep spraying scent on all the vertical objects you see around the house. Let me tell you why all this is happening. It's what we call being in heat. We've officially entered the period where you've reached sexual maturity, so you need a female. Of course, since you left your mother without getting any training, you have no idea what you're doing. This constant spraying of scent in every direction, genetically meant to mark your territory and attract females, doesn't really work since there are no females in the house, and in fact, no female can even get inside. But there's nothing to be done. You can't stop trying. You leave scent all over the house, inside the owner's wardrobe, on the brand new sofa he just bought from some home goods store, on the carpet, on the door, everywhere, all over the place. When the guy comes home and runs into the smell, he suddenly turns red. He gets so furious he practically boils over, and he throws you out of the house. You're back on the streets. Streets where you're not wanted. Look, you weren't wanted. And you know absolutely nothing. Not hunting, not mating, not claiming territory, not even defending yourself. On top of that, since you were weaned too early and lived in a spotlessly clean house without ever being exposed to the germs of the street, your immune system is weak. And to top it all off, you just got smacked down emotionally too. So really, life genuinely cannot get worse than this. Being torn from your family at just 15 to 20 days old as a clueless little fool, look where that's brought you. Let's drop one more social message here. If you're not going to take care of it, don't adopt it, dear fools. Did you adopt and then find it too hard? Then you can rehome it to someone who will actually take care of it. There are 1,000 ways to do that. Let's get back to it. You immediately start looking for somewhere to take shelter. After glancing left and right, you duck under that car over there. The owner probably just turned off the engine not long ago, so it's still nice and warm. You think resting and recovering here for a bit is a good idea, and you start to fall asleep. You wake up to a loud noise and your mind goes completely blank with fear. You immediately bolt out from under the car in a panic. That was a close call. Here's one more message. Before starting your car in winter, give the hood a tap first, friends. You just dodged a fatal danger there too. Even though you're only 6 months old, your lives count has already dropped from 9 to 7, and if we count that beating you took from the lady too, that's 6. You've come back from the brink of death 3 separate times now. You're starting to realize you somehow need to adapt to street life. This place is rough. Right at that moment, a familiar scent reaches your nose. Looking over, you see a tall, two-legged creature approaching that resembles your old owner. Usually, this scent meant food. So you immediately start circling the guy's legs, putting on a whole show of cuteness and charm. Unable to resist your antics, the man immediately heads to the market next door, buys a bag of dry food, and comes back out holding it out to you. By the way, if you're curious, here's a list of foods you should never give to cats. You can definitely manage to get some food sorted. Even small corner stores carry it nowadays. You immediately dive into the food the guy holds out. Looks like you've solved the eating problem for today. You eat your meal while the guy goes on his way. Right then, a new business idea, a new food source pops into your head. Now you start waiting for that same guy at the same spot at the same time every single day. When he arrives, you pull off some cuteness and rubbing routines and snag your food. You've solved the food situation with a pretty solid routine. Your water needs get handled somehow too, through puddles and the like. Life is treating you well. Now it's March, so you can start thinking about the ladies. You leave your scent all over the areas near your workplace. You can consider these areas your territory now. After some time spent eating, fooling around, and marking your scent, suddenly an incredible scent arrives at your territory. When you turn your head and look, you're completely smitten. A slender, gorgeous Istanbul beauty. After picking up on signs that she's not aggressive and that she's ready, you immediately go over to her. The necessary procedures for the continuation of the species are carried out, and once they're done, you both go your separate ways. Unfortunately, there's no family bliss among cats. If there is any, it's only between the mother and her kittens for about 2 months. Now that the reproduction business is also handled, you keep hanging around your territory. Getting food is no problem, but water is an issue. If it doesn't rain for a while, you're going to be in real trouble from thirst. And that's exactly what happens. It doesn't rain for several days and you can't find any water to drink. You look everywhere, nothing. You search the whole city of Istanbul, nothing. You've gone 2 whole days without water now and you're starting to feel dizzy. If you don't find water soon, things are about to get dangerous. The guy who feeds you every day passes by again. You do your usual cute routine, but you're clearly weak. The man goes and gets you food again, but you don't even have the strength to eat it. Noticing that you're not devouring your food like you usually do, the man realizes something's wrong. He goes back to the market, grabs a bottle of water, and rushes it straight to you. One more message here. Please leave a bowl of water outside your door, friends. It's a 5-minute effort for us, but it's a matter of critical, life or death importance for these little fools. Especially during summer, you immediately start drinking the water the guy brought, and feeling the happiness of having survived, you curl up in a corner and fall asleep. 5 lives left. Another 6 months pass. You're now 1 year old. You've more or less adjusted to street life. You're better at courting the ladies now, and you've started standing your ground against fools who wander into your territory during minor scuffles. The guy who feeds and waters you is still around, day in and day out, so there's no issue there. One day some fool wanders into your territory. You're obviously not going to overlook this disrespect toward your turf. Just as you're about to pounce on him, he suddenly bolts and crosses to the other side of the road. You immediately start crossing after him too. You open your eyes in a veterinary clinic. Every part of your body is in pain. When you lift your head, you see the doctor and the guy who feeds you every day. He's the one who brought you to the hospital. Thinking you got lucky once again and helped along by the painkillers, you drift off to sleep. 4 lives left. When you open your eyes again, you find yourself surrounded by familiar scents. It looks like the human who's been feeding you has adopted you. After all this time, plus all the surgery business, he couldn't just send you back out onto the streets. Of course, your new life has officially begun. Right now, you can't really walk much. After about a year passes, you've fully healed, but the lady problem still hasn't been solved. From your meowing and your restlessness, your owner figures out exactly what's going on, and you both head to the vet. Boom. And just like that, all that restlessness and territorial spraying business completely disappears. Congratulations, you've been neutered. Now there's a home, there's you, there's your owner. Honestly, though, are you the guy's cat, or is he yours? Hard to say. There's food, there's water, everything's fine, everything's perfect, top marks across the board. A spotless, drama-free 6 months pass. One day, while you're chilling comfortably in the living room, you hear sounds like someone's come over to visit. A familiar person, a familiar voice, a familiar scent. You immediately know exactly who it is. Your owner has charmed the lady vet. He's been pulling strings behind the scenes the whole time. Quietly, without any fuss, they get married and start a household together. And so, including you, with the kind-hearted vet now part of the family, you've got a solid household of 4, and in the end you all live happily ever after.